I know a lot of the time it can be there can be a lot of conversation and a lot of talk around climate action and sustainability. But there are different areas, of course, that are part of that conversation. And from SEAI's perspective, it's very much the impact that we can have from the context of the energy that we use and the carbon emissions associated with our transport, heat, and power. Um, so SEAI work with homeowners, they work with businesses, they work with communities to support and help create that cleaner, greener energy future. Um, so we very much work with trying to drive the replacement of fossil fuels across all sectors, really trying to support organizations to address issues with heat retention, insulating, fabric upgrades around heating systems, cooling systems, and also energy generation on site. Very much trying to support in reducing the carbon impact and carbon intensity of, again, our homes, our businesses, our public sector stock, anything or anywhere that has an energy intensity and an energy demand associated with it. Caroline would have mentioned our work with community organizations, and I suppose it would be remiss of me to not mention the Sustainable Energy Communities Programme. It's one of the primary supports that I work with on behalf of SEAI. It's a support programme that has relevance to our local businesses as well. So across Ireland, we are connected with over 950 registered sustainable energy community groups, which has an impact of over 50,000 citizen engagement initiatives. We work with community organizations to develop energy master plans, which has a relevance for our local businesses as well. So when we define a community, it's not just our local tidy towns or development associations, but they're so much more than that. They're part of that conversation around home energy use. Of course, our clubs and societies, but also our businesses having a role in that as well. So we work with those community organizations to engage and connect with local businesses to help them, as Caroline mentioned, to signpost towards what types of supports and funds are there to decarbonize your business or your organization. And just to make any of our guests on the call here aware that there may be a sustainable energy community located close to where your business is, and I'd encourage you to engage and interact with that sustainable energy community and support them as much as possible, because they in turn will be able to support you on your journey. But more specifically, we'll spend the next 10 or 15 minutes focusing on the business and energy supports that the SEAI offer. So this is kind of a snap it all, kind of how we approach energy efficiency within our organization, and what is the roadmap for ourselves. So very much, and Caroline touched upon it within her own introduction as well, and I'll thank her for that because she saved me a little bit of time on the first couple of slides I have. But it is about understanding your energy use and creating that energy action plan. And a lot of that does start with education, awareness, engagement with our staff, with senior management, and with our customers and our clients as well. And from that context, we look to then delve into what's actually happening within our own organization. And what we would recommend is an energy audit. Step number 3, really establish where the large energy users are within your organization and what you can measure, you can improve. And from that context, you can invest in a range of different energy efficiency upgrades, heating system, cooling solutions, as well as renewable energy technologies. But that energy audit really gives you the information to make a strong, measured, calculated decision that will actually have a long-term benefit for your organization going forward. And then from that perspective and that context, we look to monitor, track, and report in terms of how are these projects on an annual basis actually improving our organization? What are the types of energy reduction measures that we're actually achieving, from actual energy use all the way through to carbon emissions as well as cost? Caroline touched on this already, the benefits of a sustainable business. Very quickly, to reduce energy waste and deliver cost savings. It can help to win new business, as Caroline alluded to. It's becoming a bigger part of the conversation in terms of new business and retaining existing clients. To boost your reputation, there's so much around the conversation of climate action and what type of role has your organization had in this particular conversation, and what real action is actually happening as a result of this, but also to retain staff as well. So it's multifaceted in terms of what type of gains and benefits can be brought to our organizations as a result of participating in climate action and greening our business. It was also touched upon around the educational supports for business, so I won't allude to this too much, more than it already has been. I'm sure the slides will be shared, so we will have all of the links connected to the slide deck. So if you are interested in the educational supports that SEAI do offer for businesses, feel free to explore through the links that we have. And do get stuck into them. They're really beneficial. They're an incredible educational tool and can really help to engage and activate your staff in the conversation of climate action and what can actually be done without very much investment to help support the decarbonisation of your business. A lot of that is around the behaviour, how our staff and how our senior management interact with and engage with, whether it be processes or whether it be the day-to-day running of our offices or our organizations, in terms of reducing energy use on site without ever investing in anything that would be considered a technical intervention, for example. And also the SEAI Energy Academy, again, 32 modules, which can include educational supports around energy and climate action, decarbonisation for our business supports and energy efficiency, as well as our fleet, electric vehicles, electric chargers, what the benefits are, what supports are available, and then energy generation. So the likes of solar PV, maybe small scale wind, which we've seen with some of our organizations kind of developing over the last kind of 5 years, becoming a more of an evolving space for organizations. So again, the link is there, and I would encourage any of you to try to dedicate some time to learning more about what type of supports are there in terms of some of the softer measures around education and awareness. Again, our energy management training tool, which has been alluded to as well. But really, to get you on to the, I suppose, the main reason why many people might be on this call today is to really learn about the financial supports that are available from SEAI for our businesses. And there's a range of them. So what we've tried to do is consolidate them all into one slide to make it simpler for yourselves to understand what's out there. And again, to create some very simple links that you can connect with those various different supports. So the first we have is our energy audits. So SEAI have a voucher scheme that could support SMEs to bring in a registered SEAI energy audit to carry out an energy audit of your organization. We have our solar PV grant. We have our heat pump grant through the support scheme for renewable heat, as well as the non-domestic microgen scheme. There's also a biomass boiler tariff scheme. So many of the grants that SEAI have are capital grants, but the exception is the biomass boiler scheme under the SSRH scheme, the support scheme for renewable heat, which provides a tariff payment to offset the cost of your wood pellet, wood chip over a 15-year period. A very new grant that has been launched by SEAI in Q4 of 2024 was the SME Business Support Scheme. Traditionally, businesses would have gone down what's known as the CEG, or the Community Energy Grant, that SEAI have. It's a great scheme, but it can take time and it can be complex, and it needs a lot of external consultant advice to come in and support. But SEAI recognize that many of our smaller businesses are ready to go with a lot of projects, and the SME Business Support Scheme was brought in to try and address that. So what this brings in is a very quick and simple application process to allow organizations to kind of pull from a tree various different funding streams that could be used for, whether it be building fabric upgrades, whether it be heating system, heating control upgrades, with almost instant approval and very little external consultation required to actually support that. So it can really cut down on the costs to get these projects over the line. The multi-measure upgrade scheme, that's alluding to SEAI's Community Energy Grant Scheme, the traditional grant program that would have been used by businesses, SMEs, organizations traditionally, be more so for more complex projects, more deeper retrofits of your business, and the electric vehicle supports, as well as the SEAI Exceed. But over the next few minutes, I'm going to just kind of go through them on slide by slide, but that's just to kind of give you a whistle-stop tour of the types of financial supports that SEAI have for businesses, but also to have that on a single page reference for yourselves. So again, we touched on the energy audit, and that is really the first port of call for any organization if you are seeking to understand, first of all, where your organization is at in terms of energy use, but then to try and develop a register of opportunities. We would call them a register of opportunities or a retrofit roadmap for your organization, that kind of business plan in terms of what types of projects need to be done to my business or my site to make it more energy efficient, but what is the impact of those as well in terms of the carbon emission savings, the kilowatt hour savings from an energy perspective, the investment cost, as well as the grant funding that's available for that project as well. So the SME voucher, it's a €2,000 voucher against an energy audit. Now, typically, it covers most of the cost, but if your business or your facility is quite large or complex, the cost may exceed the €2,000. So it's a voucher that's used against that overall cost. The audit must be carried out by an SEAI registered energy auditor, a list of which we have available online. But to be eligible, your company must be spending in excess of €10,000 a year on energy. So that would be a combination of both your electricity and fossil fuels on site. So if you were consuming kerosene, LPG, some form of fossil fuel, it'd be a combination of those two to accumulate the €10,000. So again, we have the link there to find out more information, to register, and to apply for the energy audit voucher if you're interested. The non-domestic microgen scheme, predominantly used for solar PV, is a very popular grant. It has grant funding of up to €162,000, capped at 1,000 kilowatt peak system. So approximately 2,500 panels, if you were to kind of visualize that on a facility. No BO required and available to all pre-2021 buildings. There is a clean export guarantee tariff. So if you are in a position where you can export some of the electricity that's been generated, you may be able to avail of export rates to, again, I suppose, further benefit the business case around your investment in solar PV for your organization. The image here, it's a sliding scale, as you can imagine. So from a 1 kilowatt system, the grant value of €900 up to that 1,000 kilowatt peak system, a 1 megawatt system, for example, coming in at €150 per kilowatt peak. So again, up to that €162,000 of funding. It's a very, very popular scheme and has been for the last number of years for businesses that would have a high electrical intensity. We would see a lot of manufacturing sites, the agri industry, for example. And again, there's a lot of focus on the tourism sector here, and we would see hospitality, hotels, pubs avail of this type of support as well to help reduce and eliminate the high burden on electricity costs that they would experience. The support scheme for renewable heat, we would have referenced the biomass boiler and the heat pump capital grant a few slides ago. So it's two different schemes, I suppose, built within one. The heat pump strand of the SSRH scheme is a capital grant, so up to 40% of eligible costs for air source heat pumps, ground source heat pumps, or water source heat pumps for your business. The most popular we would probably see is the tariff scheme through the biomass program. So again, wood pellet boilers, wood chip boilers, very popular within the hotelier section, as well as the agri sector. So again, providing a 15-year tariff support for the cost of your wood pellet or wood chip associated with that. It's a very, very good scheme. There's a lot of work associated with this scheme, so it's not made for the lighthearted, but it is absolutely fantastic and can have a very immediate impact on decarbonizing your business if, for example, you're predominantly consuming oil, kerosene, or gas on site. Excellence in energy efficient design we would call it the EXCEED system. This will be more for larger organizations. And I suppose what differentiates this from other schemes is this is more for more complex, challenging projects. So the idea here is that a EXCEED expert would come in to support a wider design team of architects, consulting engineers, where they would, I suppose the ethos is to challenge each other, to try and come up with the best solution possible for decarbonizing the business, but also supporting process improvements as well. We would generally see this more so on kind of bespoke manufacturing facilities. The opportunities there are quite significant, with a lot of funding dedicated towards that initial design phase and that challenge phase, through to capital grants as well to implement some of the process improvements that might take place on site. We have two case study examples here, Arrivo Consumer Foods as well as Ahasgra. I probably didn't pronounce that correctly, but it's a distillery based in West Cork, whiskey distillery. who would have availed of the Exceed fund to help reduce carbon emissions on site and improve energy efficiency. To be fair to SEAI, there is a wide range of case study examples on their website for many different businesses and many different organizations to try and help yourselves understand how each of the different grant funds and grant streams might be applicable to your organization. This is just two examples, but I would invite you to the SEAI's website to look through some of those case studies, find something that's applicable to your own business, and see can those projects and those funds and those streams be replicated within your own organization. And finally, the accelerated capital allowance is a tax incentive to encourage investment in energy saving technology. So the ACA scheme allows for sole traders, farmers, agri companies to pay corporation tax in Ireland to deduct the full cost of the equipment from their profits in the year of purchase. So again, it's just to be aware that if you're buying energy efficient equipment, can you reduce your tax liabilities as a result of that? And with that, that brings my presentation to a close. Yeah, we'll have a chance for question and answers, I'm sure, at the end.